What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Wish You, Lucia's inverse crown character theme, and that's really all I need to know, honestly. I knew that this was like part of the newer event, and I'm like, ooh, I want to hear something from that, but there were no videos when I checked last week that were just music, so apparently we're getting stuff now, and that's always good, so I suppose without further ado, let's go! Oh. Oh. That's beautiful.
Sunlight through the trees, hear the bell ring.
I never expect the vocals.
I found the spark, the first light in the dark.
Ooh.
I found your eyes, and all the world stood still for one heartbeat. The time we've been through.
She's got an interesting tone to her voice. Like, ooh, just enough of that poppiness, but there's plenty of body to it. Feels a little bit more like a jazz vocalist in that way. And I'm just loving how soft and fragile this song is so far.
This is where I take my stand. I've knows to hold your hand on build a hometown on the shifting sands.
Okay. Now are we gonna evolve it to a new sound? Kind of R&B style? Yep. Backbeat time. Ooh. There it comes. Unless. Nope. This is a really interesting drum part. Kind of half timing it instead of like. They might still do it, but. Nope. Lots of tom work in this.
Will you marry me in another life? Maybe another time. All I have
Kind of almost like gospel funk drums with this song. Even on the toms for the build-up. Hold it. This is gorgeous. This is breathtaking. It has so much soul to it, like, it's... very R&B flavored. I love how that sounds. That is not a sound I would have expected out of this game, at least not recently. The song is gorgeous, but I'm bothered about something. I cannot find the vocalist anywhere. Who is she? You know, like, I heard the voice. I was like, oh, I want to know who sang this. I want to know her other work. I looked up her name. fucking nowhere. And it might be because there's somebody else who's very prominent that has the same name, and it might be like shoving her way down in search results. But I could not find a vocalist going by Lily Kate anywhere online, and I don't know why that is. So either it's an alias situation where like they don't want to be known for this work, and I get it, sometimes artists don't want to be known for working on a gacha game. That sort of thing happens quite often, honestly, a lot of the time just because they want to keep their professional life in the public eye separate, sometimes just because they can be an accountant in the day job and this is like their secondary thing and they don't want those two worlds to blend. I get it, but I want to know who this is. Like, I want to hear other things they've done. Maybe it's also just a smaller indie artist that just does not have that much prevalence online, but then how did they find the vocalist for this song, you know? But it's also very possible that Lily Kate exists, but she's just not showing up in my results because I live in the US, and maybe she does live across seas. Maybe that's just something, it's like I might be able to find her on like Asian internet, but not here. Happens a lot, honestly. Like, there are artists that are from the US and from Europe that live in various Asian countries that just don't show up when we try to search for them. Sometimes that happens in the alternate too, but it really just depends on how large they are and what their following is like, so it's very possible I'm just missing out on her, but I do want to hear more. Her voice is gorgeous. Like, she has to be somewhere, right? Somebody find her for me. As weird as that sounds, I want to hear more work from her voice because she clearly has this soul to her. But this song is gorgeous. The chord progression is phenomenal, and I love what the drums are doing. They're very musical drums. I don't get enough of that when I'm doing videos, so I'm like, ooh, when it happens, I just really latch on to the song because I love hearing these different evolutions. This entire song, honestly, was moving in a way that constantly evolved the track. Never once did you get exactly the same thing. Even when they were like reusing the chord progressions, they would change one of them to something else, even just adding a seventh where it wasn't in the prior one, or changing things around to like modulate something to a minor or coming up from a minor to a whole chord. So it's just sitting here like, woo, like there's a lot of that, and that's where it gave me that R&B vibe because they do that a lot as well. All right, to start off here, we're in the key of G. We're just kind of bouncing here, going down to E minor, C, and then we go back up to G, up to A minor. I think we even have a seventh on there, and then it D sus4 into D. I always love that relationship. It's beautiful. And from there we go to the G again. We start back here. This is where the real change happens. B minor, then we go to an E minor, and this is where that next change happens. Up to the E, just that half step sort of modulation I was talking about. Love that. To the A minor. This is the next modulation. This one's really weird. A flat augmented. What an interesting chord, first of all. Love that. And then we go back down for the E here, and that's just kind of where we stick. We go up to the G. We just kind of start following the chord progressions from here on. Just keeping things together, keeping the song fluent, but also evolving it with those weird things like the E minor to the E, and especially, this is the only time, by the way, that I think that the like augmented happens for the A flat augmented. That's such an interesting sort of jazzy thing. I love how that evolves the song. It adds a little bit more of that tension to the track as we're getting into the emotional weight of everything. Because at first you're kind of getting that beauty in there and you're getting the introduction to the song, but you need to start introducing how things are getting a little bit weird. And you would figure that's kind of where the D sus4 to D would be. But I think the real first one that does that too is the E minor to the E, and that's where we're like, oh, there's a shift, and we have to evolve from there and keep things going. And from there we do have a few more modulations. We get a C to a C minor. That's used a lot, as is G to G minor, especially together. These relationships are used like all over the place. We do revisit the like E and E minor ones, like that definitely does happen as well, but it's mostly, if we're talking about those those modulations after that initial intro section. Definitely the C minor C and the G minor. And near the end of the song, we get an entire key change, which I believe changes to A flat, which would tie in that A flat augmented that we mentioned earlier. So it's just like, okay, now we have this evolution. It's almost like they tried to get the key up to that point earlier, but then the song failed. Like there's an emotional connection to that comes back around as the song gets brighter. And in order to do that, we have to start on the G. So we sit on that tonic, we like reground ourselves in that. We go to the G minor modulation that I mentioned a little bit ago. So we have that going on. Beautiful, right? Kind of just adding in that tension again. We go up to A minor, so that's lifting the energy, dropping it down to E minor, and then D. And that's not exactly where the modulation happens, but it is like a step out of the normal progression for this song. And then it goes there to the E flat, and that's our modulating key before we move up to the A flat. And once we're up here on the A flat, we can do the modulations up here as well because we're keeping that identity through the song. Goes to the A flat minor. It's like, ooh, okay, so there's a little bit more mood going on here. B flat minor, so we got to keep that within the key now, and I believe that this is also a 7th, so that would bring in the A up there and tie it nicely to the A flat for the entire chord. Then we move down to E flat again, and now we're sitting on this E flat. We go back up to A flat. We're just kind of exploring a little bit down to D flat. That gets a little bit more interesting with the minor there, especially this one. And you can definitely feel how that adds a little bit more spice in there, kind of similar to the A flat minor thing going on earlier. So they're just really tying everything together, and I love this sort of relationship on this chord. It's just an absolute delight to hear that in here. And then we basically just kind of follow that chord progression. It's the same basic principle as the rest of the song, but by the time we get to the end, that's where I think that this whole relationship with the A flat up to the 7th on the B flat minor and then resolves back down into the A flat. That's where I think that high A comes in, and everything just feels so, resolved by the end of this song. We get that chord change. It feels like an emotional buildup. Everything in the song is kind of coming to a head, more so than we've had up to this point. And now the story itself is starting to resolve itself, and we don't stay in this section long. It's like maybe the last 45 seconds or so of the song is in that new key. So that's a great way to showcase that sort of emotional growth, and they do that very well in this song. And again, the performance of this is very nice, and I love the flexibility of all the drums and everything. It just feels gorgeous. I love everything about this track. I just don't know why I can't find the vocalist, Like, I really wonder why I can't find the voice. It's very strange because I can almost always find the voice, but I can't find her anywhere. And I feel like she must have a backlog of existing work to be this skilled, right? Like, there's no way that this is just some rando coming in off the street. She has to be known somewhere. I just don't know where, and it's very frustrating that I can't find anyone. So if any of you have any links to any other work that she's done, please let me know, because this song is gorgeous. The message is beautiful. It's just very much like relationship sort of stuff, and just feeling like things aren't working out and trying to deal with all of that emotion, like the constant highs and lows of that situation kind of coming to their own by the end of the song. And it just feels beautiful. I'm not sure what the relationship is, obviously. I don't know the story like that, but I don't care what it is because it just feels so good. It feels so real. But I think I have yapped about this one enough. I kind of gave you guys just a general rundown of how the song works out and why I think it's beautiful, but everything about this track is just gorgeous. And there's really not much more to say than that, aside from just literally walking you through all the chords like I did. So there's the song for you. And if you want me to get to something else from PGR, by all means, drop in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.